You are about to engage in the guidebook unit Wonderstruck. The purpose of this video is to learn about communication, what it is, how we do it, and some potential challenges people might have with it. In the unit's novel Wonderstruck, you will follow the stories of two characters who face challenges with communication. This video will help you to consider the different ways that these characters might communicate despite their difficulties. Be sure to have your handout and something to write with on you while you watch this video. Pretend you have a message you want to share with a friend. How could you communicate that message? You have so many choices. Let's explore what some of these choices are and how your choices might be different if you had certain barriers to communicating. Let's get started by looking at the word communicate. Communicate begins with the prefix com, meaning together. To communicate means to exchange or share ideas, thoughts, feelings, or information. The sharing of information might be between two people, between a group of people, or even between people and animals. Now you are ready to do some brainstorming about the different ways people communicate. Imagine that you have something you want to tell your friend. Brainstorm a list of ways that you can communicate this message. See if you can come up with at least 4 different ways. Pause this video to record your answers on your handout and the first stop sign. Then hit play when you are ready to continue. Think of the many ways you can convey a message to a friend. You could simply tell them the message. This could be in person or by giving them a phone call. You could also write a message to them, whether by text, note, or email. You could communicate a message to them some other way, maybe by giving a thumbs up or waving at them. Let's look at these answers again and see if we can put them into categories. Overall, there are 2 types of communication, verbal and nonverbal. Verbal refers to communication that uses words. Anytime you talk to somebody or write a note or text message, you are using verbal communication. Nonverbal communication refers to communication that doesn't use words. This includes gestures or body language. A gesture is a specific action you take to express something, such as giving a thumbs up to show approval or happiness, or shrugging your shoulders to indicate that you don't know something. Body language is movement your body makes that can reveal your thoughts or feelings. For instance, these boys' smiles and silly gestures tell me they're probably feeling happy or even goofing around a little. Another way to think about communication is by distinguishing between written and visual communication. Written communication is that which uses words on paper or on a screen. To understand written communication, a reader must understand the meaning of the text by using comprehension skills and by knowing all or most all of the words used. Visual communication uses images or pictures. Visual communication requires the reader to look closely at the image to grow meaning by connecting all of the elements shown in the image. Brian Selznick, the author of the book Wonderstruck, which you'll read in this guidebook unit, chooses to tell his story using both written and visual communication. One part of the story is told only by using words. The other is told only by using pictures. Both stories are about a person who has challenges with communicating. Now you are ready to think about the different types of communication by determining whether each type on your list is verbal, meaning it uses words, or nonverbal, meaning it does not use words. Pause the video and follow the directions on your handout at the second stop sign. Press play when you are ready to continue. Are you ready to check your answers? Sending a text message is verbal communication because it does use words. Waving at a friend is nonverbal communication because it does not use words, just a hand motion. Telling somebody hello is verbal. Writing somebody a note is also verbal because you are writing words. Finally, shaking hands with somebody is nonverbal communication. What is a barrier? A barrier is something that prevents you from understanding something or getting where you want to go. Think of a barrier as a wall between yourself and something you want to achieve. There are many barriers to communication or situations that make it hard for people to understand something being communicated. So, what are some barriers to communication? Barriers to communication can include disabilities. For example, deaf people can't hear and often have a hard time speaking, so they can't communicate as easily as people who can hear. But blind people also face barriers to written communication. There is also language barriers. Imagine that someone traveling to Russia on vacation, yet he doesn't speak or read in Russian. How will he get around? Not knowing a language is a barrier to communication. Literacy is another barrier to communication. Literacy means, or illiteracy means not being able to read or write in one's own language at a level that allows someone to understand all types of communication. This could mean that someone is not able to read or write at all, or it could be that they read and write on a very low level, so they are not able to understand much of what they see on paper. Now you have learned about some barriers to communication. You are ready to think about how people might overcome some of these barriers so they can still communicate. Pause this video and follow the directions on your handout at the third stop sign. Press play when you are ready to continue. The good news is, with modern technology and new ideas, there are lots of ways that people can overcome barriers to communication. Deaf people can learn sign language, a way of communicating with one's hands. They can also learn to lip read or to understand what people are saying by reading their lips. Blind people can read using Braille, a system of touchable dots used to represent words and letters. They can also access information by hearing it, whether by listening to a recording of a book or using computers that read whatever is on the screen. Language barriers and illiteracy can be overcome by education. A person can learn another language or learn to read and write better or with help from other people and images. Understanding the ways that people communicate and the ways that people overcome barriers to communication will help you as you read about two characters with communication barriers in the guidebook unit, Wonderstruck. When you finish this video, be sure to turn in your completed handout to your teacher.